Hello everybody and welcome to King Game Reviews. I am the King, and everybody, it is time for another review. And today's subject, Titanfall 2 for the Xbox One and the PS4. Let's get started. As I said in my previous Titanfall review, Titanfall was one of the most hyped games of the time. I mean, seriously, everybody was talking about this game like it was going to be the next big thing. Critics were praising the hell out of it like it was something that was going to revolutionize the industry like Call of Duty did. And while I don't really fully agree that Call of Duty revolutionized the industry, it did make some serious changes. Not all the changes I'm for, but it made changes that are obvious and cannot be denied. And Titanfall, I think, is a very refreshing step for first-person shooters, especially Titanfall 2. The original Titanfall was a multiplayer-only game with single-player campaign played out while you were doing multiplayer matches, so you really couldn't focus on what was going on in the story. You were more focused on getting your kill streak and watching out for enemy titans. Titanfall 2 aims to fix all of that by adding a full single-player campaign that lasts you about 5 hours, if you know what you're doing. Or if you don't know what you're doing, actually, if you know what you're doing, you can probably breeze through the game in 4. And then it has, of course, its illustrious multiplayer that everybody praised, but there's a few differences there, so I'll get to those in a minute. For now, I want to talk about the campaign. The story for Titanfall 2, it actually takes place after the events of the first Titanfall. There's a little bit of a recap video in the beginning of Titanfall 2's story mode, so you know what you're doing if you didn't play the original game, so don't worry about that. You play as badass pilot Jack Cooper, a name that is trying way too hard to be cool and generic, and you are a pilot in training. You're just a rifleman who is getting ready to become a pilot. You go through training stage in the beginning, and then you are dropped quickly into the battlefield as your training is interrupted. You drop down to a planet to fight in the war, and you are saved by Captain Lastimosa, I believe is the name. And he is killed in combat, unfortunately, his Titan barely surviving, and you are taking his place as the pilot of the Titan. And what's interesting about this is the Titan is AI controlled and has his own personality. He doesn't really display emotion, but he does use his brain and does say that he cares about things, logically care about things. This is really unique and it's awesome. It goes beyond just being robot. Do this for me. It actually goes into, no, he's not a robot, he's BT. He's a character, he is awesome. And this becomes a story of them having to trust each other and work hard together so they can survive the situation, because you are dropped way far off on the mission objective, so you have to work together, really find each other, and make it to the objective to complete it and win the war. The story has a lot of comical moments as well as serious moments, and it tries to do a bit of drama and humor at the same time. Some of it really works, some of it doesn't, but I can honestly say they put a real effort into it, and I wouldn't expect any less because these developers previously worked on Modern Warfare 2, and Modern Warfare 2 had a lot of the same things. There was one thing in the game that I was like, that's really cool that they added that to the story, into the universe of Titanfall, but that kind of came out of nowhere. It's in the middle of the game, and if you've played it before, you know what I'm talking about. It's not a big issue. I thought it was really cool. It just seemed really out of place, and it's only for that one level in the game. Afterwards, it's gone for good. I don't know. Maybe they're going to adapt it into Titanfall 3 if we get a Titanfall 3. But for now, it's just a little thing in the game. Jack Cooper and BT really build off each other, and they make an excellent team that eventually becomes something that you're like, wow, they're awesome together, and I want to see them in more games. Now, the gameplay for Titanfall 2 is epic. Now, the one thing I will say about it is the control scheme is different. If you played Titanfall 1, immediately go into Titanfall 2, you will notice a vast change in the control scheme and the way it feels. In multiplayer, the controls feel a little bit slow. Well, your movement does. It actually feels like you're moving slower in multiplayer than you are in the single player. You actually speed up a lot faster, which is kind of a big issue. The main thing that was a promotion for Titanfall was its parkour system. Titanfall has an amazing parkour system that ramps up there with Dying Light and Mirror's Edge, though I think in a lot of ways Titanfall is better. Being able to slide, jump, do a double jump, come in and slam enemies in the face, run on walls and shoot from the hip. You can get really good at this game, never having to aim down the sights once. The game encourages you to move fast and use your head. It encourages you to run headfirst into a fight with nothing but your pistol and a slide. I mean, it is such a satisfying feeling to run into a room, jump over a building, come down, slam on somebody, then do a power slide, and then boom, 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 kill everybody within 3-5 seconds. You feel so powerful as a pilot in this game. Especially in the single-player campaign when you're going up against grunts and robots. They are very underpowered compared to you, but beat you in numbers, so you still have to use your head. So don't worry about the game being too easy in its campaign. It is not a cakewalk, especially if you crank that difficulty up. And one thing that they did know that you wanted to do is fight other Titans in the campaign mode, so they have a lot of them. When you get BT at first, the game introduces its first set of Titans. Each Titan is a varied version of it from a different class. Each one has their own unique weapons from the class system and the multiplayer. So you have Ronin, Scorcher, Brute, you got all of them. Each Titan is a different build, they have a different unique set of weapons and special abilities. And the coolest thing about it is the enemy Titan pilots actually talk to you while you're fighting. They call you out. They're like, yeah, Titan pilot, you're not that great, or ha, nice try. Or if you're beating them, like, oh god, what is this man? He's no normal pilot. It's basically Gundam. That's what it feels like to me. It's so cool. And it just gives it that little extra bit of personality that really helps make the game special. And that's not all. There are also boss titans in the campaign. Yeah, you heard me right. There's boss titans in this campaign. I think there are about 5 of them, each having their own unique titan with its unique set of abilities, some of which kind of break the game because they have abilities that go beyond the regular Titan's abilities. For instance, one of the bosses you fight in the game is called Viper. He uses a Titan that has a hover ability. His flies. It doesn't hover, it legit flies around and dodges your hits, and it has all of the regular abilities. So you are working hard to kill this guy. It makes the pilots more unique. They each introduce themselves in a huge way before each match. And I will say, those last few boss fights, actually, yeah, you know what, the last 3 boss fights were really good. They were challenging, I actually died a few times. You gotta work for your kills in the game. Now, in between firefights, the game actually implements a lot of platforming sections where there's nothing to shoot, or there are some things to shoot, but there's no real enemies that you have to kill. Sometimes the game will give you a special gun, and you have to make platform appear by shooting certain things, and not like in Portal or something like that, but you have to shoot like a button in the distance, and then a platform will shoot out, and you have to jump on that in the right time. Something like that. But there is a good mix between running and gunning, using your parkour system on walls, and being inside your Titan. It never skimps on any of it. And you know what? The new control scheme feels great to me. I got used to it very fast. Within the tutorial level, you get to run through a training stage a few times just to see how fast you can beat it. I recommend you do this just so you get a hand in the new control scheme, and if you've never played it before, you won't really feel a difference. The character and level design for this game is excellent. Without a doubt, you are put on this random ass planet and you are opened up to this world. Now what's really unique about it is that this planet, you've never really seen it in the original Titanfall. Titanfall only had 1 map, and I think they reused 1 enemy that was in 1 multiplayer map. But aside from that, every alien enemy is unique. They only have, I think, 3, maybe 2 aliens in the game, which is kind of a bummer. It would have been cool to see more variety, but the environments were all unique. Every few levels they put you in a new area, so it's not just it's jungle or it's all building. No, they actually have a variety of unique setups. So, and each of them complements all of your abilities. So you have to use your head, take a look around every single arena, so you're like, okay, maybe I can run over here, or maybe I can slide down here, or maybe I can activate my cloaking and kill this guy and then get to jump on them. It looks good, it's easy to understand, and it's engaging. That is one of the most important things. Titanfall's gameplay is actually one of the most engaging first-person shooters I've played in a while, because one of the problems with modern-day FPSs with that quick regenerating health, it forces you to sit on ass behind a wall for a while your health regenerates, and then you can come out and hopefully not get hit so you don't have to stand behind a wall for too long. Titanfall encourages you to run everywhere, go as fast as humanly possible so you don't get shot. That is an amazing variation on the formula. So yeah, you still have that regenerating health system, but the game is like, you got hit because you didn't move fast enough. Instead of, oh, you got hit, so stay behind cover for a little bit, and come out, and okay, then shoot. No, it's go. Another big compliment about Titanfall 2 is its epic soundtrack. The music for Titanfall 2 is very kick-ass. It's epic when it needs to be. It's got some rockin' tunes that I'm like, oh yeah, this is some fight music right now. Now, the multiplayer for Titanfall is something that has gotten a lot of controversy, at least from the people I've talked to. All of my friends really hate what happened to the multiplayer, because in previous Titanfall, you could customize what robot you wanted, what weapons they had, and what abilities they had. In Titanfall 2, you have a set of Titans, and each specific Titan has their own specific weapons. You cannot really mix and match them like you did in the previous game. Now, on a personal level, I have no issues with this. I think it's really cool that they are now classing it up so that each one is unique from each other. I mean, yeah, it kind of sucks there's no mix and match, but honestly I feel like there's more balance this way. And the coolest thing about it is that in the single player campaign, BT, your robot, has all the abilities of every class of Titan. No joke, he has all the weapons, all the abilities and loadouts. By the simply pressing the right button on the D-pad, you get access to all the weapons, and you can switch to them on the fly. So you can experiment and have a great time. And it really would have helped this game if it had a New Game Plus, but unfortunately it doesn't. But that's not a deal breaker. And if you have a problem with the multiplayer, you're like, oh, it's a betrayal, I don't want to play the multiplayer. Play the campaign. I actually think Titanfall 2's campaign is so good. I played through it twice, no complaints. That's 10 hours of gameplay right there, friend. Also, something that I forgot to mention in the campaign is the collectibles. There are collectible helmets in the game because the game was released with a special edition that had a full-size pilot helmet. So they're hidden out throughout the level, and these will give your parkour skills a run for its money. You are tested to find these helmets. Look around every corner, because you're not going to find them all in the first go. I dare you to, though. In multiplayer also, some of the maps feel like rehashes of early Titanfall 1 maps, but one of the cool things is I hear that they're releasing all the maps and weapons and potential Titans that they might add to the game for free. You're not going to have to pay for any of that, and they did say that there would be stuff you had to pay for later, but it would be all cosmetic. So get ready for that, guys, because Titanfall 2 is in for a long development cycle of multiplayer shit. Some of the cons, though, I would say about Titanfall 2 would be that its campaign, for me, is too short. Yeah, I said 5 hours in your first playthrough, but I took care of it in about 4.5 hours. Maybe, and in my second playthrough, 3.5. Well, 4. That kind of sucks. Some people are only buying it for a single player campaign. You want to get your money's worth. I mean, yeah, it kind of follows the cliche of modern day FPSs nowadays, which each have incredibly short campaigns. Halo, Call of Duty, they all have super short campaigns for the first person shooters, while certain games like, say, Doom have lengthy campaigns and reasons to go back and play them again and again. While I'll say Titanfall 2 does have reasons to go back to get all the collectibles or play the multiple difficulty settings again, because that campaign is absolutely fun, especially in the last 3 levels. When the last 3 levels of Titanfall 2 happen, you are fighting an army of Titans with your army of Titans. It's epic, and you really feel like a Titan pilot. But I gotta say that sometimes the game is sort of unclear with its objectives occasionally. Even though it's a super linear game, there's 1 or 2 moments where you're like, well, where the hell do I go? Because some of the areas are open and it's not exactly clear. Some of the weapons in the game, I would say, kind of really suck ass, and they give you these weapons in the beginning and they spread them out throughout the entire game, so you will run into them a few times. Some of the enemy weapons are a little overpowered, and while I'll say that every single boss in the game is 100% unique from one another, they all look different, talk different, act different. They're all different. They're cliched. They're all a stereotype you have seen before in movies and games. So like, oh, you're this kind of character, or you're this kind of character. And you know what? The one character, the game's like, you are gonna fight this guy. In the end, you don't fight him at all. That's just a tease, man. And they're like, oh, you wait, Titanfall 3 is coming along and you will fight him. Please give us Titanfall 3. That being said, though, the game really doesn't sequel bait that much. Aside from that one guy getting away and you're like, I want to get him. Maybe next time I'll get him. There's really no sequel bait. It's like, you did a good job. Congratulations, the mission's over. The war's not done, though. So I will give Titanfall 2 credit that it really didn't cliffhang its ending. And what's kind of cool is throughout the game, you really didn't see your main protagonist's face except for the beginning of the game and the credits. In the end, they pop his helmet off and you see him. That was kind of cool. It kind of reminded me of Halo. Guys, Titanfall 2 is a bit of a mixed bag. Its multiplayer some people will absolutely hate because of the changes they made to it. I'm not lying, guys. I have never had so much fun with a single-player first-person shooter, military-style first-person shooter in so long. Not since Modern Warfare 2. And I mean it. I highly recommend you guys check out Titanfall 2. It is so good. You will get your money's worth whether you play the campaign or the multiplayer. It's just a blast. And since I gave Titanfall's Ultimate Edition an 8 out of 10, I see nothing wrong in giving Titanfall 2 a 9 out of 10. That's right, I'm giving it a 9 out of 10. I think it's that good. It's fun. And that's all it needed to be. It's basically like if Gundam had a parkour system. Take Mirror's Edge, a little bit of Gundam, maybe some Mech Assault, some Gungriffon. That's Titanfall 2. I cannot wait for the next installment. If they keep improving it like this, it's gonna be something amazing. It kind of sucks that it didn't sell as well as the previous one, especially since it made so many improvements, but what can you do, you know? Guys, thank you so much for watching King Game Reviews. I am the King, and I will see you guys next time.